David Bohm came up with his unified field theory, and this is the unified field theory. The universe itself is conscious. The entire universe is conscious. And everything that we experience as matter is actually holographic images created in that consciousness by that consciousness. And everything living is animated by that one consciousness. So he referred to it as the unified field of consciousness. And we might call it God. Okay? But in some ways, most people, because of their religious upbringing, already have a very limited view of God. And yet we're taught an omniscient, omnipresent, omnipotent field of awareness. That was David Bohm's unified field theory. Now you could say, for instance, well, how is this a hologram? And clearly, it doesn't seem to be a hologram. And yet, according to quantum physicists, they say, if you wanted to see an atom, you'd have to take a baseball and blow it up to be the size of the Earth. And then an atom would be about the size of a grape. But that doesn't mean you'd see any matter in the atom, because if you wanted to see the nucleus of that atom, you'd have to blow it up to be the size of a 14-story building. And then the nucleus would be about the size of a particle of sand. So first of all, what are we talking about? 99.9 to maybe a billion power space? Now, of course you wouldn't see any electrons because they're 2,000 times smaller than that. Besides, they only exist when they're being observed. If there's no observer, there are no electrons. And yet, quantum physicists also say the distance between nucleuses in a solid object is equivalent to the distance between stars in the galaxy. I don't even know if we can come up with a number that far in terms of space. Now that's assuming there's anything solid in the nucleus, which it doesn't really turn out it looks like there is. And so, what we're talking about basically is that the universe that we know is permeated with an omniscient, omnipresent field of consciousness. And every one of us is animated by it. You know, I know that when growing up Catholic, we'd hear God is everywhere. But we all thought that just meant God was spying on everybody. Didn't miss a trick. He saw every single little thing you did. And yet that's clearly not what it meant. Because if we're talking about an omniscient, omnipresent field, then there is no place where that energy is not. And if it is the animating principle in your body, ultimately it is you. Now it's also you and you and you and you, etc. And that's why someone in that field of consciousness, what we're talking about, when Christ would have said, my Father and I are one, what the church took that to mean was God incarnated fully in a single physical body and walked the earth for a while. But that's not what it meant. If I took a drop of water and placed it in the ocean, couldn't the drop of water say the ocean and I are one? But can a drop of water claim to be the totality of an ocean? So what we're talking about is that person's sense of individuality dissolved into the unified field. And then they could clearly say, my Father and I are one. When someone in that state of consciousness would have said, I am the Son of God, I looked, and nowhere in that book did he say, and you're not. Just only divinity. Or when someone in that state of consciousness would have said, whatever you do to the least of my brethren, you do to me. That is not a statement of big brother defending his little brothers. That was an acknowledgement. The same divine stream of consciousness coming through that individual is the same divine stream of consciousness coming through every individual. And it's a matter of embracing or owning it.